Laughing Vikings Live. High vibe chats with actors, comedians, and creators, plus stand-up comedy, sketch comedy, and most importantly, you. That's right, join us every Monday for new episodes, and you can be a part of the show on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and Twitch. Ask questions and interact in the comments, and make sure to share this with your actor, comedian, and creator friends so they can be a part of the show too. Can't make a live show? No problem. You can catch up on your favorite podcast platform and visit laughingvikings.com to find out how you can join the cast and crew. All right, it's time for today's show. Buckle up and make sure you stick around to the end because we have a special surprise for you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is Laughing Vikings Live. Happy Monday Fun Day. Let's go. Hey. It has been a year since I saw you last. It's been a year since you listened to this. Brand new year, new podcast. How you doing, BK?
I'm doing fantastic, Lars. I decided to take this past weekend off, and I didn't do anything. And I really enjoyed myself. I feel refreshed. I am ready for this new year. Let's get started, baby.
How dare you enjoy some R&R downtime? No, we must be maximum efficiency at all times. Produce. No, that's great. That's great. Congrats. I know the feeling. I just started conservatory again, so we had our classes. Although I got to admit, I wish I had one more week, and I would have been able to get everything done in my personal life and all the things that I needed to do that I'm not able to do while I'm in classes every week. But here we are. We're doing it. We're making the best of it.
Exactly.
I'm pumped for 2022. We had more fun in 21, and now we're going to make dreams come true in 22. That's it. You want to figure out how to make your year great? Just think of a fun rhyme that you can make the theme of your entire year. That's what I do. Last year it was more fun in 21, more fun in 21, more fun in 21. And now it's let's make dreams come true in 22. Dreams come true in 22. Dreams come true in 2022. So we got a big one today. The last episode that you listened to, it was talking about how to finish your year strong and how to get into the new year. And now we're going to sort of continue that conversation by talking about the top 7 ways that actors can kickstart their year, whether it's 2022 or any year in the future or in the past, if you're able to time travel for some reason. And you can figure out how to make your year fantastic then. So you ready for this? We're going to get right into it.
Let's do this. Let's get right into it.
All right. So step number 1, throw it up on the screen there, BK. That is create a plan, create a map, set some goals, set some strategy. Like anything in life, you got to figure out where you're going. If you're going to go on vacation, you got to pick a destination first, and then you can plot all the spots on the map along your journey and plan it all out, figure out how you're going to get there. But I find a lot of people don't do that. They're just very general. Maybe they are saying like, oh, I want to act more. I want to make more money, or I want to get in better shape. But be specific. And we're talking specifically to actors. So really, what does that mean for you? What are your goals that you want to achieve this year? But be specific so that what does that mean? Is that a number of auditions? Is that a number of classes? Is that you want to book a lead role? Is that you want to write your own play? But be very specific, because there's so many ways. I feel like an acting career, there's no set path. There's no set way. Success is defined by different people. Like you could be working all on stage. You could be working all in TV and film and never being on stage. But figure out what would this, if this year went perfect for you, meaning you can rub the magic genie, or what is it? Don't rub the genie. Rub the
lamp.
Rub the lamp first. Yeah, don't rub the genie. That's weird. That's creepy.
Don't rub the genie.
It's creepy. Or at least make sure you got consent first.
Yes.
We live in a world of consent. So if you're going to ask to rub the genie first or rub the lamp, and then when the genie pops out, then ask him for some of those wishes, or her for those wishes. But if your year went perfectly, what would that look like? And I use perfect in quotation marks, because there's not really any such thing, but if you could really nail it down, and that's the usual goal setting things of being specific, being measurable, so you would actually know. Mark of a good goal is you'll actually know when it's achieved. Whereas if you say like, oh, I want to read more, but if you said I want to read 50 books this year, I want to read 1 book per week, that's very easy to check that box. And should all be really simple. You should be able to explain this to like an 8-year-old and they'd be like, oh, I see. And they would know whether or not you hit the goal at the end of the year.
And your plan doesn't have to be a list. It doesn't have to be a list of things that you do either daily or monthly or weekly. It can be a picture. It can be a drawing of something that you want to see, like a set or like some sort of, maybe a couch. I don't know. Whatever that looks like to you, make sure that plan reflects how you behave in your regular life. So if you're more of a visual learner, make a picture. Don't feel like you have to stick to a list. You don't have to. You can do whatever you want.
Right. And chances are something like a vision board is better than just a list. Whatever it is, though, do make sure that you write it down. And visual is great. Put it somewhere where you see it every morning or every night. Put it maybe in the bathroom or anywhere that you're going to see it regularly. And then maybe repeat that. A lot of people, they literally write down their goals every single morning. And maybe you're writing them down while you're looking at that vision board so that you're creating the feelings. You can even do meditation / vision work where you're imagining yourself. If it was to be on stage in a leading role, you're imagining yourself in a full theater and you're feeling those feelings and you're actually stepping into that reality of the future. So sort of that playing time traveler with yourself a little bit. But again, you can't get anywhere. People are so general and so generic. And if you don't have any plans or if you look back at your last few years and if every year kind of feels the same, maybe this is the year to up level your planning and your strategy and your goals. The usual stuff I was going to say, SMART. So specific, measurable, action-oriented, results-based, and time-based as well too. So put a deadline to do these things. And then transfer them all actually into a journal or into a planner, into your daily, weekly, monthly plans, so that then they're things that you can actually follow through on.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense? We got that nailed?
I love it.
All right. Number 1, create a plan.
Number 2,
meet with your family or your spouse or your loved ones to share that plan. I think that's so important. And I think it's a step that a lot of actors and performers and artists skip, or people in general skip. But I don't know why we do this. Maybe we do it because sometimes it's hard to share our goals and our dreams. As an actor or as an artist, sometimes you might think that other people don't take your goals seriously, or you might directly have people in your family and friends and circles that really aren't on board. But you have to have support. You have to have a team and a network around you. If you have a spouse that doesn't support you in performing and acting, it is so hard for it to be successful. Either your career's going to fail or the relationship's going to fail. So it's getting them on board. And that means sharing those dreams and sharing those visions. I know there have been times in my career where I didn't share that with people. So maybe from the outside, they didn't see me making progress. People aren't mind readers. They don't know what you want. So express those. And the more times you say things out loud, that also is crystallizing things and helping it sink into your mind. And then once those people know what you actually want and what you're shooting for, then they can figure out how they can support you. Maybe that means they need to give you some space and some time because you got to go to work and go to study. Maybe it means that they need to be your number one cheerleaders. I would just say be careful with who you share that with, though. If it's a spouse, you got to figure out how to share it with your spouse. But there's certain friends, maybe there's even certain family members. You don't need to share everything with everyone. And also, while I do say it's imperative that your spouse is on board and your family's on board, not everyone needs to believe in your dreams for you to believe in your dreams and for them to become true. So that you were gifted with the seed of these dreams and the whispers in your head about becoming whatever you want to become. Don't let other naysayers bring that down. And you tell your goals and dreams to the wrong people, and they'll shoot that down in a hurry. But there's certain people in your life, they just have to be on board. Otherwise, it's not going to work out.
Can you give an example of talking to a family member or a loved one? Just what kind of plan would you describe to either your spouse or family member or loved one, Lars?
I mean, I would say something like, hey, it's a brand new year. I want to sit down with you and I want to talk about my dreams and goals and hopes in my performance career as an actor and as a comedian, and how that relates to the family. I've got a lot of really big plans, but I want to make sure that, like anything, you have to pose things as what's in it for them. So if you have all these great grand plans and grand schemes, presumably that's so that you can have a better life for your family, so that you can up level your lifestyle and up level your future for your family. So you have to get them tied into that. So framing it not just like, hey, this is what I need and this is what I want and this is what I'm going for and you need to listen to me. Like, you have to make it a teamwork thing. And Brendan Burchard, one of the things that he always talks about is people will support dreams and plans that they helped create. So if at any point, again, certain parts of your life and dreams and goals are going to be yours and yours alone, but if there's things that you can bring other people on board with and maybe recruit them to help give you the ideas, so that they're feeling like at the beginning of the year, hey, I'm actually sitting down and I'm helping you plan your year and I'm collaborating with you, so that you actually have true teamwork and some other support there. Does that make sense? Did I answer your question?
Mm-hmm. No, I do want to. I do have another follow-up question. If someone feels like they don't have that support system, where would you go looking for that kind of support system for yourself?
Okay. I mean, I would say if it's spouse, oh man, that's such a hard one to do. I don't know how you deal with that other than continue to figure it out. Because ultimately, like, if it's so tough that, like, if you have a spouse that's like, you shouldn't even be an actor and I hate that you're doing this and I just want you to get a real job and forget all this pie in the sky bullshit. Ugh, I hate to be in that scenario, but if that was the case, I mean, you got to look to where are your support systems. So is that community, other actor friends, other online communities like ours, your coaches, your mentors, maybe family friends, or sort of secondary family members. Maybe you got that supportive uncle or grandparent that's always been your number one fan, whereas maybe your parents are a little more practical, quote unquote, and they want you to go to school and get a real job, which is just their way of loving you and not wanting to see you fail. But again, if none of that works, it's sort of the idea, get as much support as you can and get as many people on board. But if they're not on board, you have to just decide, okay, I'm going to plow forward with this and I don't need you for that. You don't need your parents. You don't need your spouse. Again, your spouse is different because you're living with them and you're creating a life with them. But if it's your parents telling you to get a real job, or brothers and sisters, or just the negative voices in your head, you don't need any of them. So you might be deciding to cut time with them and spend a little less time with them this year if you've decided that they're not going to support you in your dreams. Because again, we got one life. These are your dreams, and it's a false belief to believe that others are going to believe in your dreams. It's like everyone's got their own life. They got their own problems. They got their own things they're thinking about. Everyone, to a certain degree, is selfish in that they're trying to figure it out, and everyone's doing their best. So don't expect that you need everyone else's support and you need a thumbs up and a gold star from everyone in your life. And I would say the less you need that, the more likely you are to succeed, because you'll succeed despite not having support.
Mm-hmm. All right, moving on to number 3.
Number 3, now that you got your family and your loved ones taken care of, the next thing, you got to go business, and you got to meet with your agent and or your manager. Personally, I have great relations and great communication with my manager and agent, so that we're constantly, like, we have typically email, the occasional text or phone call, but mostly email. But I think at least yearly, maybe every 6 months, it's sort of a state of the union meeting to sit down, again, take a look at what you'd accomplished last year. What were the wins? What were the losses? where you can improve. But just communicate. Just communicate. You got to communicate. You got to communicate is what I'm saying. You got to communicate. So it's like any other relationship. And some of us aren't the best at this, but deciding what you want and then expressing what you want instead of keeping it all inside and then expecting that people are going to mind read or making assumptions. One of the 4 agreements: don't make assumptions. Don't assume that your agent knows exactly what you want. They may not be sending you out for the things you want to go out for, or they maybe are sending you out for things that you don't want to go out for. Maybe they have no idea what your actual top level dream is to do. Maybe you want to host a game show or a travel series, and that's something that they've never talked about. Maybe you're just sort of the more side hustle actor, and you're just like, I want to just get cash grabs at commercials and just give me all the one-liners and the SOC commercials, and you just go grab that stuff. Maybe you don't give a shit about commercials and you don't want to go out for them at all, and you're just going to focus on principal roles in TV, film, and theater. But again, if your agent doesn't know those things, I think a big part of that relationship is showing your agent and expressing to your agent all the things that you're doing. Imagine if you were an agent, what would you want your actors to be doing? You'd want them to be taking classes, to producing their own work. You'd want them to be creating relationships with industry people, to be creating community, to be constantly working on their craft. So kind of figure out, how can you be the A-star student to your agent? And maybe one way to think of it, if you think of it in terms of what's in it for me all the time, well, what does an agent ultimately want? I mean, I'm sure they want success for you, but it comes down to their 10, 15, 20%. So if in your head, you're thinking, you know what, this year, I'm going to make you the most money. I'm going to be the person on your roster that makes you more money than anyone else. Not that it's all about money, but for them, that's their 15%. So the more you can dangle that carrot for them, I think the better. Also, I think that gives you an opportunity, if you're speaking with them, to say, is there anything else that you need from me? Is there anything else I need from them? So that's going to lead us into one of our next topics. But they may say, you know what, I'm not a fan of your headshots, or I would love it if we had a new demo reel of that new footage that you just of the thing that you got booked on this year. Can we get that footage so that we can show that to all these other casting directors and get you in those doors? Or it might mean, hey, you haven't registered for your online subscription for casting networks or casting workbook or Actors Access, whatever it is. Your agent ultimately is your salesperson and your marketing person. So they need all those tools for you to do that. So part of that conversation is sharing that. But it just boils down to having a State of the Union meeting. Often that might mean just thanking them and saying, thank you for this past year. It's been a wild one. Had tons of great auditions, had tons of great callbacks. Thank you for this booking, that booking, and this booking. It was great. And then they've got some gratitude and they think, oh man, this person really cares. This actor is really driven. They're really focused. They're a great person. And then when they're scrolling through all those breakdowns, maybe your name is top of mind because they just had this fantastic meeting with you and they're pumped. So get your team motivated. Be the leader in your team. Don't wait for your agent or your manager to lead. You're the person. They're supporting. You're the lead in your career, and all your people on your team are supporting cast to support you, but they're going to follow your lead. So set the intention, set the energy, set the motivation, and be the person to inspire your agent so that they're like, holy shit, I'm pumped to be representing this person. This person is going to crush this year.
Yeah, and I love what you said at the end, Lars, that it is a team relationship. Like there's always going to be a give and take no matter what the relationship already is. And like if you have to adapt to make sure that the team is working properly, then you do have to do that. You do have to adapt and change and make sure that you're giving them everything that they need and vice versa. Like it is a give and take relationship. All right, moving on.
Numero cuatro, number 4 in the top 7 things to do to kickstart your year is update your materials. Update your materials. We just talked about your agent. Your agent's job is to get you into rooms with casting director and production and they can't do that if things aren't up to date. I'm often guilty of that. Currently, I'm guilty of that. I have an old headshot that really needs an update. So my plan in the first week or two of January is to book a headshot session. But what does that mean? That means your demo reels. Do you have footage hanging out there that may be the best footage? Maybe you booked the biggest thing in your life last year and it's out and it's somewhere. Either you can contact production or you can find it on YouTube or on one of the sites and get it into a demo so that then you can be pushing it out to other casting directors. You can get that footage on all the casting websites. Also, your resume. Maybe you haven't. I know that I don't update mine that often. So at minimum, every year, 6 months, really, you should be doing it anytime you add something new, because if a casting director or a production is looking at that, they might know the director or the casting director or the producers of that project. So the second you add that one little credit, they might be like, oh, you worked with Tom. I love Tom. If he cast you, then great. I'm going to cast you too. Rather than waiting for a full year for that to pass you by. And training as well, too. A big update for me this year is I'm going through an entire conservatory program, which was never on my resume. So if it's a casting director, and I know a lot of casting directors are big on training, one of the first things they're going to look at is, where have you trained? And if they don't see anything, there's going to be doubt in their mind that you actually know what you're doing. Whereas if you've gone through a conservatory program, you went to theater school, you went to TV and film school, you did musical theater, you went to conservatory, you took Second City Conservatory, whatever it is, make sure that's there. Your headshots, of course, they got to look like you, they got to be current. Hopefully you got a few variations of you so that you have a few different looks. Maybe you got a more business corporate look, and then you got a little more casual look, commercial look versus theatrical look as well. Different outfits. So make sure you got all those boxes checked, ideally with headshots, so that your agent can custom submit for you. So for me, if it's like grunge rocker, then that might be the headshot that I got where I'm wearing a black t-shirt and a leather jacket and my hair's not super slick or anything. But if it's corporate, billionaire crypto CEO, then that's the one where I want to have suit and tie, shirt and tie, where maybe my hair slicked back so that you do look the part, rather than just having one catch-all headshot. So sort of check those boxes, which would be something that you bring up in that agent meeting. Just say, hey, is there anything else that you need? I know that you only have that one headshot. What if I went and booked another session? What are the 3 or 4 or 6 looks that you think that would benefit me to be able to custom submit to some of these gigs? And your agent's probably going to love you for that. And then the last couple things, if you have a personal website, get all that up to date. So you've got current pictures, your most recent media, your media appearances. Maybe you throw your demo reels on there. And maybe these days, more important than the website is your social profiles, making sure that all your social media profiles, Instagram, Facebook, maybe LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, if you're on TikTok, get all that stuff up to date so that it points to where you want it to point. Maybe scrub it of anything. If you look back and you're like, oh shit, look at all the stupid things I said back in the day, because that's a reality. Some of the first things, like when you get pinned or when you're on hold over the weekend while they're deciding who they're going to book, one of the things they're probably doing is looking at your social media profiles. So if things are a little wonky or out of whack, or if you don't seem active in those, like some productions, they want the numbers and they want to see the engagement, because they're going to be thinking like, oh shit, we cast this person, it's going to be 100,000 extra eyeballs on all of our releases, so that they're current, but up to date and present. It's just a good time of the year where you can do this all in one fell swoop. And then maybe you do it in the summertime again as well. So do it January and July, so that every 6 months, all this stuff is current, if not quarterly. Anything else you want to add to that?
Well, I know, same with you, Lars, but I know I have to update my demo reel, and like I don't have any new footage that's coming out in the next couple months or in the next couple weeks. So I'm going to be booking a session to make sure that I have some new scenes and new material that maybe a casting director or someone else will see and decide to cast me off of.
Boom. I love that. Thank you for adding that, because that's it's such an issue. Like, first of all, whenever we book something, it takes so long to get the footage. So you book something this year, if it's a feature film, you might not even come out for a year and a half. I was in a feature that has, I think, some solid stuff, or at the time it was some of my most solid work. And we shot it in 2017 and it's still in post-production 4 years later. So, but don't allow yourself, it's easy to fall into that victim mindset where you're like, oh, well, I don't have a demo reel, so that's why. And then you're just waiting and waiting and waiting, and you're putting the ball in someone else's court. Figure out, even if it's just in a self-tape studio where you're doing an audition scene or a monologue, at all times, you want your agent and or casting and or production to be looking at your best work. Now, ideally, to prove that you've been cast in professional things, that's professional TV and film. But if you don't have that, don't wait. Either get in a studio and just something, it doesn't have to be like polished and super produced with sound effects and color correction and all this kind of stuff, but they need to see a good look at you and see your range and see what you're all about.
You can make it work, right? Like, especially with technology nowadays, like you have the things at your fingertips to make sure that you have at least something new to show them, so that they're not seeing the same old thing. Like I haven't updated my demo reel in now 2 years. So like it needs an update. It really does need an update. And like, because like I've evolved as a performer. I've evolved as a person. So like you want to be showing your updated thing, what you're currently working on, what makes you.
Always the best foot forward that you have currently. Like, give them the best stuff that you have wherever you're at right now. And some people are like, oh, well, doesn't it have to be something produced? Man, I would rather have a rock star 1 minute monologue or 2 contrasting monologues than a so-so scene from a docudrama that was kind of snipped together and didn't have great looks, or if it was like wide shots of you. I mean, not all demo material is created equally either. So if it's not close-ups of you, or if the coverage that they cut to is the actor opposite you, though, that's not that helpful. So you may be better off to just set aside all your professional stuff and then show them, like, this is me right now. I've been in classes for the last 6 months going hard. This is my best monologue that I got, or 2 that are contrasting ideally. But yeah, don't wait for that stuff, and just realize that your performance and your craft and your skill is going to trump. I hate saying Trump. Sorry. I used to say that word all the time. And now it's like, it was such a fun word until the man that shall not be named, Voldemort, ruined it. But yeah, what was I going to say is just trust that if the performance is there, all the other stuff is bonus anyways. So if you rock it and it's a blank backdrop in a studio, who cares? The casting director and the production is going to be like, man, this person has craft. They had all the storytelling elements. They had vocal variation. They were physical. They were in the moment. They were right there. Showed me a lot of variation. They were funny. They were like all of the things that a casting director might look for. But if you're still like twiddling your thumbs being like, well, I can't do anything because I haven't got the footage from the thing I shot 2 years ago, you gotta decide what you want and fight to get it, and don't take no for an answer, and figure out, okay, if I'm waiting for that, what's my next best option? When that comes in, great, add that. But for now, and that's to show your agent and casting directors. I know that for me, I have a lot of casting directors that now with pandemic, they really haven't seen me like work for a few years now. So hopefully if that's the case, I mean, I could think about a casting director, thousands of actors that they see, they're not going to keep everyone in top of mind. And they're just going to kind of have categorized you as something or other based on what they've seen in the past. But if you're growing and changing, maybe that's something or other that they saw for 2 lines in a TV series that was kind of a throwaway thing as just a day player. And in your head, you're like, fuck that. I want to be lead roles and supporting roles and ensemble leads. That's okay to feel that way. You just have to back it up, showing them that you got the craft, and people could create a series around you and create these massive roles around you. And that's one of our coaches, Tom, always says, a career is made when the right actor meets the right role and blows it up. But that's normally a lead or supporting role. It's very rare that there's going to be a walk-on day player two-liner where it's like, oh wow, see what that guy did, and then you blew up from one line.
Because what I do really love watching nowadays is seeing shows or movies from back 10 years ago and like seeing someone in a two-line role that's now elevated their career to supporting or lead roles. And like you see that a lot more, especially if you really pay attention.
Oh, yeah.
You'll see it so often, and it's great to see. And we're not saying that these demo reels are something that has to be the be all end all for you. This is just a temporary thing, even just for this year, just so that casting directors and other or agents see you for what you're doing right now, because that is so important.
Right. Yeah. This is me right now, the best that you're going to get right now. Rather than this is me 3 years ago when I got this headshot, and this is the footage on my demo from 5 years ago. That's not going to get you. I mean, maybe that'll get you somewhere, but if you feel you've improved and grown since then, no one's going to know that unless they can see it. So just ask yourself, is there somewhere that the world can see the best I have to offer right now? My greatest like performance, or what's the opus inside of you right now that you think you can just unleash one mother of a monologue and just blow the roof off so that someone's like, holy fuck, she's got the goods, she's got craft, she knows what she's doing. They got to see that, right? So update your materials, update them, your demo reel, your resume, your headshot, website, your social profiles. Do it all now in one fell swoop. Your agent's going to love you. Your manager's going to love you. And ultimately, that's the only way that casting and production is going to see who you are at your best.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Number 5, Lars.
Number 5, home studio upgrades. We're 2 years into a pandemic that has really forced everyone to work from home. I can't say it enough. I say it all the time. If you're an actor and you do not have a home studio, I don't know what you're doing right now. It doesn't need to be fancy. Just do the best with what you got, where you got, but you need to have decent lighting that isn't reliant on daylight, or isn't backlit, or isn't just you shuffling around lamps and hoping for the best when it's like, if you're relying on a window natural light and you got to shoot one last minute at night, you're kind of screwed. So it's decent lighting, some kind of sound. Doesn't need to be great sound, but I mean, your phone's probably good enough. But if you can have a lapel mic or a shotgun mic, or if there's a way to soundproof, that was great, as the siren goes off in the background. That was a sound effect. Brandon adds sound effects to his auditions.
I add sound effects.
Yeah, so can you buy a backdrop right now? Here's the bottom line. This is what I think. This is my opinion. You should have a studio setup where anytime something comes up, whether it's an audition or you just wanting to film something, literally all you do is flick on the lights and hit record. That's it. You don't move a lamp. You don't move a desk. You don't move your kitchen table. You don't have to tell your entire family like, hey, nobody come to the dining room today, because it's not a dining room, it's a studio. Find a corner in your house, or a room, or a den, or a bedroom, or a closet if it's VO, whatever it might be. And that's where this conversation with your family comes in. Because if you've been waiting for this, and every time maybe your spouse is rolling your eyes because every time you get an audition, you got to spend an hour rearranging the house. Whereas if you had just said, hey, you know what, it's really important to me. I want to make this my best year ever. I got a ton of goals. I want to make sure that I get all these bookings done because I want to take better care of the family and improve our lifestyles. And I know that right now, every time I get an audition, I got to rearrange the living room and the dining room, and it upsets our way of life at home. What about this? Let's pick this room, this wall. Can this be the studio where it's just always there? And that thinking is how Laughing Vikings and our studio here started. That was just me deciding, you know what, man, is it a pain in the ass every time you get an audition to spend an hour bringing lights out of the closet and bringing the tripod out of the closet and setting up the camera and hanging a backdrop and doing all that stuff. That sucks. If you're doing it right now, no wonder you begrudge self-tape auditions and you roll your eyes, and no wonder your spouse looks at you like, oh, great, you got to tear apart the house just to do your little your little skit. But so get all that stuff set. You're a professional. Again, think about this. You gotta lessen the gap between who you are today and who you want to be. And if you aspire to be a top level professional, well, top level professionals use professional equipment. They work in professional studios. They use professional microphones. They have professional lighting. There's a difference between looking at a self-tape that was done by a professional, either in a home studio or at a studio like ours, and someone who pulled some lamps together and stacked it on books and is in their kitchen and the cat's running around in the background. And instantly, the first impression, if you're a casting director or a producer or anyone involved in making that decision, even if the performance is pretty solid, the first impression is, I'm dealing with an amateur. Is this going to be good? And cross your fingers that they watch the whole thing. But if they got a bunch of thumbnails and they're looking at thumbnails on the auditions and they're trying to find one person out of 500 submissions, you might get passed over just because of the thumbnail on your audition has shitty lighting, or the first 3 words have echoey sound, or it just doesn't look professional, or your camera angles are all wonky where you're looking down, or the camera's above you or below you like you're looking into a laptop on a desk or something. Be a professional. So take that time. And yeah, if that means money, take some money and invest into that, because your return on that investment potentially can be 10-fold, 100-fold, 1,000-fold. And you can probably do everything you need to do for, I'd say $300. $300 is going to get you lighting, a backdrop, maybe a mic, probably less. I mean, you maybe do it for $100. But I mean, if you need to skimp, if right now you're thinking, oh my God, I don't have money, it's tough. Well, go on Facebook Marketplace, go on Craigslist, Kijiji, find some of our backdrops, our photography backdrops that we have here. I found secondhand for like $40 from the millions of photographers that picked it up as a hobby and then never did anything with it, or the actors who started to build a home studio and weren't serious about it, so they got all this equipment lying around. So just do what you got to do, and if you need any recos on that, shoot us a message and we can help you with that. But again, it doesn't need to be like you don't need to spend $10,000, but you should spend as much as you can afford to spend. And if you're feeling like you can't afford to spend anything, you need to spend something, because that's the idea of putting fuel into the fire before you get the heat. You got to stoke it first before you're going to expect to get it. This is going to make your life a little easier, because think about that $300. If that $300 saves you an hour every time you get an audition so that they look better, you don't have to waste double and triple the amount of time to film an audition, and you get one more booking, you're going to make all that money back in one booking, maybe tenfold in that one booking. So just home studio upgrades. The other thing I didn't mention was potentially a laptop stand. We do a lot of Zoom auditions these days, and a laptop I find is easier to do it than on a phone. Just phone's kind of small on Zoom. So an adjustable laptop stand, laptop tripod. I'm literally talking to one right now that goes up to about 6 feet, and it's so easy for Zoom stuff. I love it. So just upgrade.
I was actually a little upset today because I have recently bought a green screen for my home studio, and I was having trouble setting it up before this. And I can't show you the green screen right now. Yeah, I know, but it was $90 on Amazon. So go get a green screen, because it's worth the investment, and you're worth the investment.
Yeah, and the other thing is not even just for auditions. Now, like, we always talk about auditions, but I like to only think of that as maybe 50% of what you're going after. Yeah, auditions are great to book professional commercials, TV, film, theater, but everyone in the world right now has maybe a better opportunity to create the role of their dreams by creating it themselves. So whether it's a vlog or a sketch series or a podcast like we're doing, have that home studio so that you can be creating that regular content. I think everyone in the world, whether you're an individual or whether you're a business, everyone is a media company. Everyone needs to look at themselves as a media company first. And then what do you do on top of that? You're a stand-up comedian, you're an actor, you have a home business, you sell some things on Etsy or on Amazon, but you got to pump out the media and the content there, so that the investment in that home studio, and then you never have to think about it. It's so
Mhm.
good. Like I've had all the equipment here, which really, like I said, spawned the opportunity to have Laughing Vikings, and then to create this community where we have dozens and dozens of actors coming physically to our studio. But then also because during pandemic, the first wave of it or so, when everything was shut down, I was like, oh shit, if we're not going to be able to leave here, now I would need to up level again. So at that point, I spent like probably $3,000 at Long and McQuaid, getting every kind of microphone I would possibly need, lighting, all the stands. I got PAs and other equipment for live shows as well. But I just made a decision early on there. I was like, okay, I'm going to have all pro equipment so that I never have to think about equipment again.
Mm-hmm.
And don't even like, so many people hem and haw about this. Like if like, I'll use podcasting as an example. The amount of podcasting people, I'd be like, what mic should I get? What mic should I get? Just get a mic. Maybe spend an hour or two researching it, but don't spend weeks and weeks and weeks allowing yourself to put it all off because you're have analysis or paralysis by analysis, right? So just like make some decisions, look it up, and then go get something, because having something is going to be better than nothing. And chances are you're going to want to upgrade down the road anyways. So don't think that this has to be your forever studio. Just make some quick decisions, go get them, set it up, figure it out. And then you're going to eventually be like, you know what? I'm not a big fan of this mic, or I'm not a big fan of this webcam, and then sell it used and get a new one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was listening to a podcast recently, and an actor was talking about buying something, and it's something that you can control. That's a thing that you can control. So you can go on Amazon and buy that new mic to upgrade your home studio, and you have control over that. You may not have control over the casting that you just did, but you know what? You do have control over the equipment that you are using currently.
Right. And that it's going to also lead into your mindset too, because part of it is you're going to feel like a professional.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to feel more confident. You're not going to be thinking in the back of your head, oh, I'm an imposter because every time I have to set up my janky setup here, and they're going to know that I am not really into this, or whatever it might be. Like you're going to feel like a professional. And there's other opportunities. Maybe you have a setup in a space where if you do invest, maybe you can cover that investment by then renting it out, or setting up a little small home-based business.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if that's something that you want to talk about, we might even be able to do it where you're a satellite location with Laughing Vikings, where if you're in a different city, different town, even here where we are in Toronto, a different neighborhood, you have a great setup. Well, we could potentially start sending clients your way rather than having them trek across town. Or if you're in another city that we don't have a studio in, contact us. And if your studio meets sort of the minimum technical standards to be a professional studio, which isn't like, doesn't have to be amazing, but it's got to be professional enough to do the job. You can, be creative, and never, the thing that you want to do. And I love this so much. Never say, I can't afford anything. Never say that. Say, how can I afford? The second you say, I can't, you shut it down. You shut down all possibilities. And people do this in all areas of their lives, where they're just like, oh, I can't. Say, how can I? How can I? Get creative. How can you? Well, if you decided to, maybe it means you have a neighbor that lives nearby, and you're like, hey, what if we pitch our money together, buy lights, buy a backdrop, buy a new camera, buy a new microphone, and you don't have the space, but I have the space. So we set up the studio at my place, but you use it and I use it, and we read for each other. Maybe the $500 studio now just became a $250 studio that two of you throw into, and you got it done. Or you decide, okay, what if I were to rent this spot out, or put a collective of people together, put 10 friends together, and then each pitch $250. And now you got $2,500 to make a dope studio. And then you're producing content every week, whether it's auditions or any other content. So just be creative, and don't let stuff like I can't or I can't afford to slow you down.
Yeah.
Your dreams are worth it. Your dreams are worth it. So don't say no to your dreams.
And number six.
Number 6 is classes. Invest. Last week we talked about growing. We talked about changing. you got to improve. It's going to make you better at your craft as an actor. It's just going to make you feel better about your life. Life is about growth and is about change and is about adapting. And if you're wherever you are right now, there's really only a couple ways you're going to get somewhere better, and that's by you improving something about yourself, or by other people who are currently not in your life somehow coming into your life and giving you more opportunities. But the thing you have control over is you. So if the quote is like, if you want to have something that you've never had before, you got to become someone you've never been before. You got to do things you've never done before. So I would say that's two categories of classes. One category is acting craft related, performance craft related. So a scene study class, a voiceover class, a dialect class, a fight choreo class. What else could it be? A movement class, a voice and speech class. So all of things that relate to maybe you want to get into stand-up. So you take a stand-up class, or you take a writing class, or you take a directing class, or you take a producing class, or you take an on-camera class. And the reco that we'll always give here is Tom Todoroff's Saturday Workshop is a global community of actors all across the world. It's 3 classes in one, including text analysis, voice and speech by some of the renowned voice and speech coaches in the world, and then 2 or 3 hours of scene study with Tom, including monologues, scenes, cold reads, audition pieces, but a commitment and a discipline to learn and grow, so that regardless of auditions or bookings, you're going to feel like an actor every week, because you are actually acting and doing things that are moving you forward. And the second category, aside from sort of quote unquote acting craft related things, I would put under the category of self-care. So is that a yoga class? Is that a meditation class? Is that some other fitness class, a boxing class, which there's a lot of overlap. Just don't underestimate the link between your body and acting. It's the more you take care of your instrument, which is your body, which is your breath and your voice and your speech, the more you're going to be connected to your emotions, the more your energy you're going to have. I think for me, I'm turning 44 in 10 days, January 13th. I was born on Friday the 13th. And energetically, I feel better, stronger, more energetic now at 44 than I did at many points in my 20s and or 30s, because of diet, because of exercise, because of not boozing and partying as much as I used to. And so anything that protects your energy. Life is an energy game. If you think about how do you become enthusiastic? That's energy. How do you get through those long days on set? That's energy. How do you feel motivated? That's energy. So it's one of my coaches, Brendan Burchard, he says, get your meds, which is an acronym for MEDS, meds. The M is for meditation. The E is for exercise. The D is for diet. So eating clean, eating healthy. And the S is for sleep. So optimize meditation, your brain, your mind, exercise, your physical body, diet, the nutrition that you put in it, and sleep. If you're not getting all those things, your energy is going to be fucked. And no wonder you're not performing that well. No wonder you're not remembering lines. No wonder you're not feeling great on stage or feeling great going into the audition room, because your energy is all out of whack. So just really respect that. That's something that I've learned over the last year, especially huge asterisk. And this, I guess, goes back to craft stuff, but voice and speech classes, just working on your voice, working on your breathing, working on your speech. It's your acting is vocal. There's no two ways around it. It's vocal. It's obviously very physical, but it's vocal, and your breath and your voice is also your connection to your emotions. So if you don't know what a deep breath feels like, then you're probably not connecting to your emotions many times, and you're working very much on the surface level. So if you haven't delved into voice and speech classes on a regular basis, or aren't doing at-home voice and speech warm-ups before every performance or before every audition, you're leaving a ton on the table when it comes to your own performance, because it's voice and speech. There's no two ways around it.
And something I do want to couple with classes is finding a hobby or something else that you love that is not performing or acting. I feel like there's lots of times where people come into sessions and they're so choked up about trying to get it perfect and so choked up about trying to make an impression that they lose sight of what performing really is. And it's a lot of the times it's about having fun.
Right.
And I think you achieve that when you find something outside of performing and acting and whatever you do that isn't part of the business, because the business part can really strain on you, because like you don't have control over the casting process, you don't have control over how many auditions you get sometimes, and so make sure that you're fine, like either knitting or anything really, like sports, whatever it is, whatever fuels your fire, whatever you love that is not performing, focus on that and even take a class on that so that you're not just focused on performing. Tom likes to say we are professional human beings. So don't dwell on the things you can't control. Do something else.
Yeah, 100%. Be a well-rounded human being. I mean, I think the amount of time we spend talking about acting and craft, a lot of the times I'm like, man, we need to talk about other things sometimes, which is why I love meeting people who are not in the industry now, because I love actors and I love comedians and I love filmmakers and creators, love them. But then I'll meet someone's spouse or a friend of a friend, and they're like, oh, I'm a real estate agent. And you're like, oh, I remember other people in the quote unquote real world that aren't running around playing make-believe Peter Pan stuff like we are, which is nice to expand your horizons and also maybe have a little more, give you some perspectives of some gratitude. Like you meet someone who's a roofer or a construction worker, then you're like, man, am I ever happy I'm an actor and that I'm not out there shoveling ditches every day, like that kind of thing, you know.
I remember one of the most memorable conversations I had at a Shakespeare party was talking to someone that left some IT job and started building chairs. Like just so fascinating. Like, why did you leave that? Oh, I really love building things and I wanted to, so I found a workshop and started building chairs, and like that, I think that's so fascinating sometimes.
Right. And now we live in a world where you start doing that. You start a podcast about building chairs. You start an Instagram thing where you're taking how-to pictures and posting your work, and boom, you got a side hustle business. Shout out to Steven Stensrud. When I knew him, he was in Calgary, but long time back when I worked in life insurance and financial services, long before I became an actor or comedian, Steven Stensrud, this guy, he was number one in the entire company in sales, blew everyone away. Like literally every week, if the number 2 and 3 people had their numbers for the week, Steven was like 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. Like he was putting up numbers that no one else.
So Steven learned his ABCs, is what you're saying.
He learned his ABCs. Yeah. And he worked super, super hard. So shout out to Steven. Yeah, he knew me before I got into this foray here. So nice to see you, Steven. Hopefully you're still doing well. Yeah, he was number 1 guy in the company a few times. All right, so let's start bringing her home here. Number 7.
Number 7.
The number 7 way. Let me try that again. The number 7 way for actors to kickstart their career and their year: foster relationships and join a community. No better time to take a look at the relationships you already have. You probably know dozens of filmmakers. You worked with other directors, other casting directors, other producers, other actors, other casting assistants who are now casting directors, other production assistants who are now assistant directors. So take some time to foster those, reach out to them in a appropriate way, not like, hey, how you doing? Can I get a gig? But hey, how are you doing? Congrats on this. Congrats on that. Saw that you were on this production. Great job. Loved it. Maybe let them know some exciting news about you, what you've been working on, but connect with those people and realize that chances are, for most people, especially when you're on the come up and you're not like a quote unquote made man or woman in the industry, chances are it's the people around you, like in your graduating class, if you went to TV, film, theater school, or you were in a conservatory, it's going to be your peers that are the people that end up lifting you up, rather than thinking like, oh, I got to go meet an A-list celebrity at random at a restaurant and approach him and slip him my script. Like, that might be an option, but chances are it's the collaborations with people that you've already worked with and you already know that are going to bring you up. So spend some time fostering those on one hand.
Mm-hmm.
And then what are all the communities you can join? That may mean joining classes like we talked about, but that also means joining other like-minded people like us here at Laughing Vikings and Actors Audition Club. We've got an incredible community of what we like to call audition heroes, who are actors, comedians, creators, filmmakers, coming through our studio every week. So you can join our community, shameless plug. And so join our community of audition heroes. We got a new account on Instagram at Actors Audition Club. Actors Audition Club. Actors, ACTORS, plural, Audition Club. It's on the screen right there. That account is just going to be all things acting and audition related. Laughing Vikings, we're still going to be posting a lot about our comedy shows and our TV film production and podcast, but we sort of have narrowed and rebranded and relaunched all of our audition content to be in Actors Audition Club, and that community is amazing. So go there right now to Actors Audition Club, and you can join us on Instagram. And the thing that we want to shout out right now, and you're going to be hearing about this all month long, but we are running a very exclusive and very exciting live training series towards the end of this month called Audition Hero. So all of you out there, whether you're brand new in the industry or you're a seasoned vet, there's going to be something for everyone. We're going to be involved. We're going to have some guest speakers. We're going to have some case studies, some other actors who've worked with us. So you can step into your dream role as an audition hero. Visit laughingvikings.com/audition hero. It's right on the screen there. laughingvikings.com/audition hero to join that live training series. Do that right now. Lock it in. Throughout the month, we're going to release more information about the exact timing and the dates and the curriculum of all that. But it's going to be over the course of 2 or 3 days. We'll likely go live for maybe an hour or two. It'll essentially be the same amount of time as a podcast episode, but we're going to be very specific. And the whole goal of that is to get your auditions to top level, because early on in your career, this being an actor is really about being a professional auditioner. Until you're getting offers and until you're a name where people are just green lighting productions around you, it's going to be you fighting for the roles that you want by auditioning, and only one person lands that role. So out of 500 submissions, how are you going to figure out how you're going to be that one person who gets the role? It's like every audition it's like a 500 horse race, but only one horse gets anything, and 499 horses literally get nothing. Except maybe a pat on the back by the casting director, and they're like, oh yeah, that was good work, but we weren't able to cast you in this one, which is great. But you want to be booking the roles. So we're going to spend 3 days on a deep dive. We're going to be covering mindset. We're going to be covering home studio setup. We're going to be interviewing other actors, getting them to share their secrets and share their tips on how they book lead roles in feature films with A-listers, how they were ensemble leads in TV series, how they're ultimately making their dreams come true. And we've been associated with a lot of incredible people coming through Laughing Vikings through our Actors Audition Club. So it's your chance to get involved with them. So again, go to laughingvikings.com/audition hero. You want to make sure you save your spot. There's going to be a little form. All you do is throw your email in there, and we will make sure you get all the info for that. And the goal, again, is to jumpstart and kickstart 2022 so that you know for the rest of the 11 months in this year, every single time you get any opportunity from your agent or any other opportunity that you've created for yourself, that you're going to deliver on that and have a top-level audition so that you are an audition hero and you can step into your own dream roles as an audition hero. So once again, laughingvikings.com/audition hero. So pumped for this. I'm so excited for this. It's going to be the biggest thing that we've ever done collectively online as far as training. So keep listening to these episodes. Keep hitting us up on social media at Actors Audition Club on Instagram. Of course, you can follow all our Laughing Vikings accounts as well. Make sure you listen and subscribe to the podcast. But get ready to make 2022 your best year ever. What are we doing, Brandon? We're making dreams come true in 2022. What is our mission here at Laughing Vikings? Our mission is to uplift, empower, and inspire a global audience of 1 billion people by helping 1,000 actors and comedians share their stories via TV, film, and live performances. And we're going to kickstart that at our live training series, Audition Hero, at the end of this month. So make sure you're there. If you're not, hopefully you're doing something else that's amazing, but you're going to miss one hell of a shindig with us.
Yes, you will.
Yes, you will. Have I said it enough? One more time. laughingvikings.com/audition hero. You can go there right now, throw in your email, and it's all it's going to do is save your spot. And then that'll make sure we'll send out email updates and you'll get the invites and all the details, the VIP info, the 411 that you need to become an audition hero and make your dreams come true in 2022.
Woo!
Woo! I like that. Oh, good. Make your dreams come true in 2022. Woo! Yes, we're poets and we don't know it. Nice, nice.
There you go. We found
all right. Well, thank you everyone for listening today. Again, make sure to hit us up on all the social. Brandon, you're going to leave us with a quote to inspire our week and our year.
I am. But before I do that, I just want to do a reminder that for anyone listening to the podcast, we will be releasing on Friday morning now. We won't be releasing on Monday morning anymore. So now it's going to, so this podcast that we're recording right now will be released this Friday coming up. So just make sure that everyone is aware of that. And so,
which means you can get it. You can get it. What Brandon is saying is you can get this podcast hotter off the press than ever before. Mm-hmm. And shout out to Brandon as producer. I know that you're always editing it and snipping it up in the clips. And Brandon over this past year, he was like, you know what? I'm way better at this than I used to be. I'm faster at it. I'm more efficient. And so he was like, what if I finish the podcast earlier and we release it on a Friday instead? And the great thing about that is you can listen on a Friday. And then when you're seeing all your friends in the weekend, you can share it with your actor friends and be like, damn, did I just hear some straight fire about how to become an audition hero by going to laughingvikings.com/audition hero? You should listen as well. You like that one, yeah?
I did.
Yeah. So thank you for improving your efficiency. And we're honing this machine. It is becoming a finely oiled machine. And that's because we're going to blow the fucking roof off this place in 2022.
Woo!
Woo! All right, hit us with the quote.
Our quote this week comes from Thomas Edison. It is, many of our life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up. Don't give up. The more you pursue this, the more you keep at it. Like, yes, you may not win as many times as you want right now, but you have control over how your career turns out. You have control over what you can do and what you do in this moment right now. And no one has the story that you do. So take control of your career, take control of your life, and make sure that it's about you this year. This is 2022. This is 2022. Woo!
Woo! Yes. And I love that. It's the idea. You always see there's two metaphors you always hear. It's like you'll see the cartoon of a guy digging a tunnel, getting the gold, and then he finally gets tired and quits, and he was like 2 feet away from the gold. Mm-hmm. Or you'll see the old guy on the old like those pump wells, like where you pump and pump and pump. Yeah, those things. And you never know where, like, you got to pump till the water starts coming out. But the water is getting higher and higher and higher as you're pumping. And if you quit and get tired, then it all goes right back to the bottom. Mm-hmm. And there's unlimited amount of Hollywood stories. I think I just heard one with, I think it was John. I feel like John Krasinski had called his mother to say, I'm leaving New York. I'm quitting. It's not working out. and his mom was like, no, stay for a little bit longer. And I think Brad Cooper has the same story as well, where they were both about to quit and they stuck it out. And literally the next audition for Krasinski was The Office, and he booked The Office. And now he's, what is he? Jack, what is it? Jack Reacher? Is that what he is? Yeah.
Jack Ryan.
Jack Ryan. Yes, Jack Ryan. So yeah, you never know where you're going to, like, what opportunity is going to be the big one, but you do know that if you just continue to go at it over time, things are going to get better and better. And I mean, you're going to quit having fun and you're going to quit expressing yourself? Like, what are you even quitting when you're quitting acting? You're quitting having the time of your life. Is that what you're going to quit? So yes, stick to it. And if you need some help, make sure to join a community. Hit us up here at Actors Audition Club. Hit us up at Laughing Vikings. And one last time, do not forget to save your spot at our live training series where you can step into your dream role as an audition hero. Go to laughingvikings.com right now, laughingvikings.com/audition hero.
Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.
Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Make your dreams come true in 2022. Woo!